Hey, what's going on? Comic book fans out there on YouTube, it's BDG Comics, and today I'm bringing you my June 1st, 2022 comic book week in review. This week I did read 11 different issues, again, some digital, some physical, and I am going to give you my top 10 as well as one book that didn't quite make the top 10. And without further ado, let's get it started. At number 11, I do have Miles Morales' Spider-Man number 38. It wasn't a terrible issue. I did actually enjoy it, but not so much that I think it's something that I would pick up in the future. Definitely not interested enough in like the characters and that world that they created. So the art, it was pretty good, but it wasn't amazing. Interesting enough plot for a new arc if you're interested in those characters in that world, especially with Miles and his sister. But I don't think I'm interested enough for it. I have no investment whatsoever in these characters, and I did give that book a 6.5 out of 10. All right, and now we have made it already to our top 10, so that's awesome and fast, lightning quick. And at number 10, I have probably a controversial pick, but I have The Closet number 1 from James Tynion IV. Or Image Comics. Generally, I think the book was fine. I just wasn't a huge fan of it. So the art, it was just kind of mid. Like it wasn't special for me. The coloring was pretty good, but the art itself, the penciling, stuff like that, it was fine. It was just mid tier, I think. The monster like wasn't even creepy. It was, I don't know, I don't really want to spoil it a whole lot because I'm trying to get away from spoiling things, but I feel like this is enough of it's been 6 days, the book's out. Like if you're gonna pick it up, you probably already picked it up. So the monster was like a Mike Wazowski from Monsters Inc., but with too many teeth and a little bit taller. So not very scary or creepy even at all. It does seem like the book is kind of a slow burn, which I think from my experience is usual for James Tynion IV's work. His books seem to read better as trades or as collecteds, just because he like really takes his time to develop. He takes his time to develop the story, and this one seems no different. It was just kind of boring for me, and I don't think I'm going to be continuing the series. And that was number 10, The Closet. At number 9, I have The Strange number 3 from Jed MacKay. And this is definitely the best issue of this 3-run series so far, which isn't saying a lot because I think the art has definitely not been the greatest in the first 2 issues, but in this one the art was 500 times better. The coloring might not have been as flashy and special as some of the like magic spells and stuff like that as in the previous issues, but this art was much more consistent and just better. There was one thing that bugged me, and that is probably why this book is so low down here at number 9, because it was pretty good and entertaining. But Jed MacKay, in his Jed MacKay ways, decided to write that the cyclic rate of fire of an AR-15 is 700 rounds per minute. Yes, there is a fully automatic version of an AR-15. It's the M16A1 and the A2. Each different M16 version definitely has a fully automatic variant, but in general, that's not even used by the military. The common AR-15s and M16s are semi-automatic rifles. Some of them have the military ones have a burst mode, like a selector mode, where you can change it to like a 3-round consecutive burst. But generally they're semi-automatic weapons, and an effective rate of fire is like 30 rounds a minute. Not 700. That's more akin to like a machine gun, like a 240, like an M240 or a 249 saw. Those rates of fire are like 800 rounds per minute, and they're belt fed. I've never seen a belt-fed AR-15, but yeah. Anyways, I don't know. It just seemed like a lot of anti-gun propaganda, like floating around through his head. I'm sure he probably pulled up the Wikipedia page and just quoted numbers off of that. Yeah, I can't imagine 700 rounds going through an AR-15 without a jamming. That sounds like just absolutely ludicrous. Yeah, it was other than that, it was a good book and I enjoyed it. Clea is just fierce and dangerous and kind of mean and evil. Like she's just kind of a badass. Overall, it was enjoyable and I gave it a 7 out of 10. I'll probably continue reading the series digitally just to see where it goes. And that was number 9, Strange number 3. And at number 8, I got X-Men 92, House of 92, number 2. A lot of number 2s. Got that one here. So far, I think this has just been a fun series. Apparently, it's mimicking and kind of redoing some of the stories, the X-Men stories. I think it's Jonathan Hickman's X-Men that kind of got us into the place that we are now, this modern day Krakoa arc thing. I didn't read any of that stuff. So I feel like this book was kind of tailor-made for me. I'm an X-Men fan, but this is my favorite X-Men team. This like early 90s X-Men with, you know, Gambit and Rogue and Storm and Wolverine. Like that's my X-Men team. That's what I know and love. And I feel like they're retelling that story that is in the current X-Men books, but with that team. And since I didn't read that stuff, I don't have the same qualms that other people might have, where they're like, yeah, we've heard this story already. Well, I haven't. So I feel like this book was like tailor-made for me. But it's been fun so far. Like I said, I basically get to read the Krakoa setup stuff, but with my personal favorite X-Men team. The art, I have to say, is it's very true to the X-Men animated series as far as comic books go. It's got a very like 90s cartoon feel to it, and I like it. So it's fun. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. All right, next up, at number 7. I have Action 2022 Annual. This was a really decent backstory for Superman and Mongol, and it kind of shows the ways they parallel with their upbringing with Ma Kent and, I don't know her name, but Mongol's mom. They have, well, obviously they're like very different with their upbringing. They're like, they go this way, you know, they're, I don't know, opposites, you know. But they do have one parallel where Mongol actually calls his mom a traitor because she protected him, and she did a betrayal thing to the Warzone people where she protected Mongol. But that was a parallel to Ma Kent, even though she like admittedly purposefully protected him. I don't know. So it's interesting to see like how you get the Titans. Like it says, the tale of two Titans. You get Superman, the Titan, who had a very nurturing upbringing, versus Mongol, who had a very not nurturing upbringing. And it's just fun. It was a good issue, and the art was really good here. I don't think it's as good as like Federici stuff on the current Action Comics books, but it was good. And that one for me got a 7.5 out of 10, and that is my number 7. So my number 6 is The Scorched, number 6. And the art in this book is stunning. It's just amazing art, just pretty much like any of the Spawn books have been, at least in recent memory, right? They've all been touted as, you know, some of the best art in comics, and this book is no exception. It's really good stuff. The only thing is, for me, since it's in the Spawn universe and I don't have a lot of backstory or knowledge of that Spawn universe, or, you know, what's going on, or really any of the characters, anything like that, I get lost, especially with a book like this, which is like a team-up book, so there's a lot of characters. I definitely get lost. Each issue loses me a little bit, but also answers some of the questions that I have. So it's just been entertaining. It's an entertaining read, and it's fun and exciting. And I gave this one an 8 out of 10. And next up at number 5, Ghost Rider number 3. This has been another really interesting and fun issue of Ghost Rider. This current arc is, or this current, I shouldn't say arc, this current series is really cool so far. Some people are saying that they wish that the plot would develop a little bit more into something cohesive, but I actually kind of like it like this. Each issue kind of feels like its own separate entity. Not completely, because it's a continuing story, but like if you picked up issue 3 as a completely new reader, you wouldn't be lost at all. You would be like, okay, you see this guy, he's, you know, kind of wandering around and looking for answers, basically. Like I said, each issue seems to be kind of its own thing. The art here is, it's been really great, and it fits the character, the gritty tone of this Ghost Rider run that Benjamin Percy is writing. It's just good stuff. Like, I hope that it doesn't get canceled and dropped, because I really would like this to be an ongoing series that I continue to read more than, you know, 5 or 6 issues. But I do wonder, we got this like ghost truck in this one, like Ghost Rider becomes, you know, Johnny Blaze becomes a truck, like a Ghost Rider truck, and that was really cool, like a semi truck. I hope we see more of that, and just maybe other interesting versions of Ghost Rider. Definitely fun stuff. All right, and at number 4, Darth Vader number 23. This was cool issue. I haven't actually been reading this series or anything Star Wars. Well, I picked up the Han and Chewie and the Obi-Wan series, but as far as like these Star Wars, the main line, or Darth Vader, or Dr. Aphra, I think is what it's called, or Bounty Hunters, I haven't been reading these. I jumped in here because it said it was a new arc, and it's like only a 2-part arc or something like that, so I wanted to give it a shot. And it had this cool Bad Batch cover, so I thought that would be neat to add to my collection. It was a solid, fun read, and it had some cool character bits with some kind of forgotten characters from Anakin's past, and I thought that was neat. And overall, it was just a fun issue and exciting, and I am curious to see where they go from there, and see if these characters stick around. But I gave that an 8 out of 10. All right, now here we're really starting to get to some good stuff. And at number 3, I have Shadow War Omega number 1. Now this was a great conclusion, I think, for Shadow War. I feel like if there was more, it would have been drawn on way too long. So in the previous, well, I'm going to spoil a little bit here. In the previous issue, I believe it was Robin 14, I think was the last part of Shadow War before this one. Deathstroke dies, right? Like Talia kills Deathstroke, and then in this one, already 1 issue later, he's resurrected in the Lazarus pits, but the Lazarus pits are like tainted or something, and he comes back different. And then they kind of set it up to where this little mini Shadow War event is going to lead directly into Dark Crisis, also written by Joshua Williamson, and it looks like Deathstroke is definitely going to be a villain in that somehow, or a part of it in some way, shape, or form. And also it looks like Robin and Batman are going to like be together for a little while, maybe, and they're going to continue that storyline in the Robin book. But I don't understand exactly how this is all going to work with Batman and Robin going out together, but then the Justice League are dead, and this is leading into Dark. I don't understand what's going on exactly. Is it just 2 different timelines, basically? Or is Batman going to go off with Robin and then somehow also die from Justice League 75? It's a little confusing, but it's still entertaining. But I liked this book, and I thought the art was great, and it was a good conclusion. And that was pretty much it here. There's a lot to unpack. It probably, if you haven't read Shadow War, I would suggest waiting for some sort of collected, like a trade or something, because it would read really good as a trade. And I think better so as a trade than, reading single issues like this, which I think most comics are better as a trade anyways, but I don't know how much rereadability this has. It was strong, but it wasn't like amazing, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was Shadow War Omega #1, and I guess that was the Shadow War. So, fun event. I enjoyed it. And that was my number 3. All right, so my number 2 was actually a very surprising book for me, and I didn't pick it up because I had low expectations, and this book actually blew me away a little bit, and that is Captain Marvel number 38. Now, I have been reading a little bit of Captain Marvel. I read like 36, 37, and I read that annual that they dropped. The annual was pretty good, but it was its own self-contained story, and it didn't have anything to do with this current Captain Marvel run. So they've been setting up this like split between Captain Marvel and Binary, where Binary, this, if you don't know, it's the this lady here with the fire hair. Yeah, so we got Binary and Captain Marvel, and they're kind of split up into 2 different separate entities. And in this issue, you kind of get Binary learning more and more about humans and their society and the world. And there was a big missed opportunity, I feel like, to use the word glizzy when, they're in New York, and Binary's eating a hot dog and learning how to, do that. But it was just a really fun, good issue. The pace was good. The character development and interactions was awesome. There's very solid, fluid art and coloring in it. There was nothing like, there was no like crazy propaganda or silly like dialogue about feminism hoorah or anything like that. It was just clean, good comic book fun, and I loved it. It looks like they're setting up a pretty interesting arc too, because you have Carol Danvers over on this other planet, or I'm not sure exactly where she's at, and you have this little like, it was like a 4 or 5 page backstory, or not backstory, but like side story about where Carol is, and that looks kind of like fantasy and fun. And I thoroughly enjoyed this. Yeah, next issue that comes out, 39, I'll probably pick it up. And I might pick up 38 as well, just to add it to my collection, because I really did enjoy it, and I was absolutely surprised. And I gave this one an 8.5 out of 10, which I never thought that I would say that about this Captain Marvel run. But here we are, and that was my number 2. All right, and that means my number 1... my pick of the week is Carnage number 3. I think this is the best issue of the run so far, and I have thoroughly been enjoying this run. Ramvi is excellent, and I think he fits Carnage very well, and this is exactly what I want out of a Carnage series. Something a little bit more deep than just blood and guts and gore, and that's exactly what this is providing. It's giving a good psychological twist with Carnage and the guy who wants, I can't remember the guy's name, the guy who wants to be Carnage's host. You get Cletus Cassidy sort of in this issue. I'm not sure if he's like a symbiote now or what's going on, but that's pretty cool. He's the voice inside of the head of this detective that's coming after Carnage. And it seems like Cletus is kind of leading the detective directly into danger, purposefully, to fulfill some kind of goal. I think it's awesome. The artist's name is I think it's Roger. I think is how you pronounce it. Roger Antonio. His art is absolutely incredible. I love a lot of the art and the spreads in this book. It's such a unique style, even for Carnage. and the coloring is amazing. I just love it. Let me pull up this one page that I wanted to show you. Oh yeah, you get this cool like interaction with Spot, because I guess Carnage's new thing now is he is taking all these like B and C list superheroes and villains and stealing their powers. Such a cool scenario. There's a spread in here somewhere that I wanted. Oh, this one. That's it. The title spread. Carnage, the empty place. You get this sweet Carnage pose and all these little, you get Spot too. You get all these little panels. How cool is that? Right? So yeah, that's Carnage number 3, and I've absolutely been loving this series. And this is, I think, the best issue of the 3 so far. And I gave that a 9.5 out of 10. And usually I think I'm pretty conservative with my number rankings. So a 9.5 is a pretty rare thing. So yeah, that's what I read this week. That's how I rank them. And let me know in the comments below what you read this week and what you thought about it, and what was your, top 5 or top 3 books of this week. Yeah, hit me up down below, and make sure to leave a like, put your D in my subscribe, and until next time.